Welcome to the Helping Writers Become Authors podcast. I'm KM Weiland, and I am here to take you deep with story theory, writing techniques, and the incredible wisdom of story. I believe story is the greatest power on this earth, and that as writers, we carry the torch of wielding that power with responsibility, passion, and skill. There's no such thing as just a story. Today, it is my honor and my purpose to help you write your best story, astound the world, and maybe change your life. Hello and welcome. You are listening to Season 17, Episode 12. Today's episode is sponsored by Damonza.com. As one of the leading names in book cover design right now, they have designed most of my book covers, and they are currently offering free book cover reviews. So whether you're about to publish or you're just curious to know how your cover stacks up, this review is a no-brainer. This will give you a fresh, informed perspective that offers crucial insight into how your book cover performs in today's competitive market. So don't miss this chance to make your book unforgettable. It's totally free, and all you have to do is visit damonza.com/review/WBA to get started. That's damonza.com/review/WBA. And now, welcome to this week's episode, Using the Enneagram for Character Development, Avoiding Repetition for Lies Each Type Might Believe. Using the Enneagram for character development can be a game changer for crafting layered, believable characters. This ancient personality typing system can offer deep insight into your character's core fears and motivations, which makes it a natural fit for building compelling internal arcs. Because the Enneagram inherently emphasizes personal misconceptions, that is, the lie the character believes, as well as thematic truths, and both positive and negative change arcs, it becomes an extremely intuitive tool for crafting complex and realistic characters. But there is a rub. And the rub is that because the Enneagram features only 9 personality types, it would also seem to offer only 9 possible lies, truths, and character arcs. Zoe Dawson brought this up in requesting this episode. Zoe wrote, "I use the Enneagram heavily in crafting my characters, so my question would be, what is your take on using the Enneagram 9 personality types and constructing their lies so that it's not repetitious for each story? Examples would be great." Although necessarily limited, the Enneagram still presents an incredibly comprehensive and complete framework for understanding human behavior. As such, there is a degree of truth to the idea that humans can only undergo a certain number of fundamental changes. And this harks back to one of my favorite quotes from Willa Cather, who says, "There are only 2 or 3 human stories, and they go on repeating themselves as fiercely as if they never happen." Still, as Zoe points out, a prolific writer relying on the same framework for every character might find herself running into some repetition, especially when it comes to identifying the lie each type believes. Now, in previous episodes, I've noted the fundamental positive change and negative change arcs inherent within each core Enneagram type. And you can find those by searching for the titles 9 positive character arcs in the Enneagram and 9 negative character arcs in the Enneagram. Today, I want to look at how to use the Enneagram to deepen your character work while keeping each journey distinct and emotionally resonant. So how can you avoid repetitive arcs when using personality tools like the Enneagram? If each type has a core fear and desire, doesn't that mean every story featuring a type 1 or a type 9 will end up exploring the same emotional terrain? Not at all. In fact, using the Enneagram for character development can open up even deeper and more varied avenues for crafting emotional arcs. Although characters with the same type may struggle with the same core themes, the specific lies they believe about themselves and the world can take many forms. If you already know your own Enneagram type, you can think about this from the perspective of your own life. For example, as a core 3, I can easily look through my life and identify how my own core wounding, coping mechanisms, survival tactics, ego identities, and even interests and obsessions are predominantly themed around a 3's central concerns with identity, authenticity, and personal truth. Indeed, even the fact that my explorations of story theory have focused on character arcs and the internal conflict between lies and truths is arguably a direct emergent from my 3 perspective. When most people think of 3s, they think of the stereotype: hypercompetent, workaholic, obsessed with success and image. And if that's all you knew about 3s, you might struggle to write characters with personalities nuanced enough to reveal the spiraling fractal of depth hidden behind this simplistic archetype. A deeper understanding of how the Enneagram works, not to mention how people and stories work, allows us to access the functional simplicity of this 9-part system as a foundation for the realistic variation it reveals. From there, the Enneagram can become a wonderful tool for noticing and exploring the specific flavor of insight and blindness each type brings to any situation. In moving beyond the simplistic stereotypes to acknowledge the deeper themes at play for each type, the sheer vastness of thematic possibilities also becomes clear. For example, if you wanted to explore a 3's obsession with the subjectivity/objectivity of truth, you would discover what are likely unlimited character arcs that can eventuate. And this is, of course, equally true of all the types. Now, with all of that said, the suggestions I'm going to share in the rest of today's post barely scratch the surface of the possible lies any one type may be challenged to overcome. Next week, I'll be digging into this a little deeper and answering another reader's question with an exploration of how Enneagram types function in the different archetypes of the life cycle. For today, I decided the most useful way to begin examining the variety available within Enneagram character arcs would be to note how each type's core lie may vary depending on which instinctual variant is dominant. So what are the 3 instinctual variants? One of the most illuminating nuances in the Enneagram system is the concept of instinctual variants, what are sometimes called subtypes. And these are the primal survival drives that shape how each of the 9 types shows up in the world. Instinctual variants don't change your core type, but they do flavor how that type expresses itself in everyday life. And for more on instinctual variants, I highly recommend Beatrice Chestnut's book, The Complete Enneagram. So as I said, there are 3 instinctual variants. Number 1 is self-preservation. This instinct centers around safety, comfort, and physical well-being. If this is your dominant instinct, you're probably highly attuned to issues like health, finances, routine, and creating a secure personal environment. You might notice yourself scanning your life for what's missing or unstable before anything goes wrong. Number 2 is the social instinct. And this instinct is all about group dynamics, belonging, and impact. Social dominant people pay close attention to how they fit into the collective. They're often oriented toward their place in the tribe, their reputation, and their contribution towards something bigger than themselves. This doesn't always mean extroversion. It's more about their awareness of the system itself. And instinct number 3 is the sexual instinct. Also called the one-to-one instinct, this drive is focused on intensity, intimacy, and magnetism. It's about fusion, being fully seen, fully known, and fully alive in the presence of another. People with a dominant sexual instinct crave depth in relationships and experiences. They often have a kind of charge to them, an edge, an allure, a sense of passion that leads the way. So even though each of us uses all 3 instincts, we tend to favor one, repress another, and let the third play a supporting role. For example, because I am a self-preservation dominant and social repressed, my instinct stack is ordered like this: self-pres, sexual, social. But here's the twist. The dominant instinct can sometimes override the typical behavior of your core type, and this creates what are called countertypes. One specific orientation for each type that looks different from the core type, but which still lives out the same core fear and desire underneath. For example, as you'll see later on, the fact that I am a 3 with a self-preservation dominant instinct makes me the countertype. In short, even though I always feel like a 3, I don't always look like a 3. Understanding characters' instinctual stacks can bring incredible clarity to what type of character arc and thematic journey they are most likely to undertake, and how that might evolve from story to story, or even character to character, regardless of type. So let's look at how each Enneagram type can be used to explore a variety of lies across different stories, genres, and voices. And note that the examples I'm going to be sharing should not be taken too explicitly. That is, as the only way to express each subtype's lies. They are meant to spur your creativity, particularly in regard to the subjectivity of Enneagram types for the characters referenced. They are also not necessarily representative of a character arc that is completed in the referenced examples. And as usual, I have relied on the typings from the site Funky MBTI. All right, type number 1, the reformer or perfectionist. Core lie: I must be good to be worthy. Core fear: being corrupt, defective, or wrong. And the core desire: to be good, virtuous, and balanced. Now, the social instincts version of the lie could be, if I don't set the moral standard, no one will. For example, Hermione Granger in Harry Potter is obsessed with studying rules and doing things the right way, which stems from her fear of failure and need to be seen as competent and morally upright. In the 1, the sexual instinct represents the countertype, and their lie could be seen to be, it's up to me to set the world right, no matter the cost. For example, Catherine Frenot in the movie Father Goose, her intensity stems from a deep sense of personal mission. She pushes herself and others towards transformation, often coming across as driven, zealous, and unrelenting in her pursuit of what she sees as necessary change, even when it strains her relationships. And the 1's self-preservation lie could be, if I'm not prepared and perfect, I'll be blamed. For example, Atticus Finch in To Kill a Mockingbird offers quiet resolve and unwavering principles in carrying the burden of justice on his shoulders, believing that if he doesn't stand strong, everything could unravel. Type number 2, the helper. Core lie: I must earn love through service. Core fear: being unworthy of love. Core desire: to be loved and needed. And the 2's social lie could be, if I serve the greater good, I'll be loved by all. For example, Padme Amidala in Star Wars sacrifices her personal desires to serve her people. She's gracious and composed, always putting duty above self, but her deepest longing is to be accepted and loved for who she really is. The 2's sexual lie could be, if I am not needed by someone, I am not valuable. For example, Frances Stevens in To Catch a Thief is bold, alluring, and direct in her affections, flirting and pursuing while also deeply craving connection and validation beneath the surface. In the 2, the self-preservation instinct represents the countertype, and their lie could possibly be, if I act helpless or innocent, others will take care of me. For example, Robert Crawley in Downton Abbey often plays the helpless patriarch, relying on others to manage both personal and family matters while maintaining his sense of entitlement to care and attention. Type number 3, the achiever. Core lie: my worth depends on what I accomplish. Core fear: being worthless or failing. Core desire: to be valued and admired for success. Their social lie could be, I must be admired and respected for my success. For example, P.T. Barnum in The Greatest Showman thrives on his ability to garner admiration and respect through his business success and the spectacle he creates, positioning himself as a charismatic leader and influencer in the public eye. The 3's sexual lie could be, my value comes from how attractive and charismatic I am to others. For example, Scarlett O'Hara, in Gone with the Wind, builds her self-worth through her attractiveness and the way she charms others, seeing her relationships and romantic success as a reflection of her value. In 3's, the self-preservation type is the countertype, and their lie could be, I need to work hard and prove myself to secure my place. For example, Nancy Wheeler in Stranger Things is driven by a need for accomplishment and approval and constantly works hard to prove her worth, even if it means compromising her personal needs for the sake of her career and goals. Type number 4, the individualist. Core lie: I must be unique to be significant. Core fear: being ordinary or not special. Core desire: to find themselves and their significance. Their social lie could be, my suffering makes me worthy of love. For example, Rose DeWitt Bukater in Titanic feels trapped and unseen, expressing her suffering as a way of asserting her individuality and longing for a more meaningful life. The 4's sexual lie could be, if I fight hard enough for what I want, I'll finally prove I'm not broken. For example, Kylo Ren in Star Wars The Force Awakens is consumed by his desire to prove himself, constantly fighting to overcome his perceived weakness and claim a powerful, meaningful identity. In 4s, the self-preservation instinct is the countertype, and their lie could be, if I keep pushing myself through pain, I'll finally become who I'm meant to be. For example, Jess Mariano in The Gilmore Girls hides his emotional sensitivity beneath a hardened exterior, relying on independence and a quiet intensity to forge his own path in life. Type 5, the investigator. Their core lie is, I have to protect my energy and stay self-sufficient. Their core fear is being overwhelmed or incapable. And their core desire is to be competent and capable. The social lie could be, if I master complex knowledge, I'll earn my place in the world. For example, J. Robert Oppenheimer in Oppenheimer commands respect through genius, but remains emotionally withdrawn even while standing at the center of a historical moment. 5s, the sexual instinct indicates the countertype, and their lie could be, if I fully merge with someone, I won't feel so alone. For example, Scotty Ferguson in Vertigo becomes obsessively attached to an imagined ideal of love, losing himself in his desire for a connection that will make him feel whole. And the 5's self-preservation lie could be, if I hoard my resources and keep to myself, I'll finally feel safe. For example, Ebenezer Scrooge in A Christmas Carol isolates himself and clings tightly to his wealth and solitude, believing this is the only way to feel secure in the world. Type number 6, the Loyalist. Their core lie is security must come from the outside. Their core fear is being without support or guidance, and their core desire is to have security and guidance. The 6's social lie could be, if I follow the rules and uphold the system, I won't have to be afraid. For example, Willow Rosenberg in Buffy the Vampire Slayer clings to structure, school, rules, the Scooby Gang, to soothe her insecurity, only stepping into independence when surrounded by trust and purpose. In 6's, the sexual instinct indicates the countertype, and their lie could be, if I'm strong and intimidating enough, nothing can hurt me. For example, Guy of Gisborne in BBC's Robin Hood compensates for his insecurity with aggression and dominance, trying to prove his worth through strength, loyalty, and desire. And the 6's self-preservation lie could be, if I stay close to what's familiar and keep others happy, I'll be safe. For example, Bilbo Baggins in The Hobbit prefers the safe predictability of his hobbit hole and resists adventure until trust in others helps him find his courage. Type 7, the Enthusiast. Their core lie is pain must be avoided at all costs, and their core fear is being deprived or trapped in pain or deprivation. Their core desire is to experience satisfaction and fulfillment. In 7's, the social instinct represents the countertype, and their lie could be, if I serve a meaningful cause and stay upbeat, I'll be valued and protected. For example, Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice combines charm and cleverness with a sense of social justice and moral clarity while using wit and idealism to sidestep vulnerability. The 7's sexual lie could be, if I follow my passions and chase the next dazzling experience, I'll find what I'm missing. For example, Ariel in The Little Mermaid dives headfirst into new worlds and romantic dreams, enchanted by what could be and driven by a restless hunger for something more. And the 7's self-preservation lie could be, as long as I surround myself with the right people and pleasures, I'll be fine. For example, Han Solo in Star Wars seeks freedom, resources, and loyal allies to keep life pleasurable and self-serving, even while avoiding the emotional weight of deeper connection. Type 8, the Challenger. Their core lie is vulnerability equals weakness. Their core fear is being controlled or vulnerable, and their core desire is to protect the self and remain in control. In 8's, the social instinct represents the countertype. And their lie could be, if I fight for others and protect what's right, I can justify my strength and find belonging. For example, George Bailey in It's a Wonderful Life is a passionate, justice-driven leader who sacrifices his own dreams to protect his community, but still struggles with the weight of responsibility and frustration. The 8's sexual lie could be, if I can overpower and possess what I want, I'll never be betrayed or abandoned. For example, Eric Killmonger in The Black Panther, his aggression stems from a deep fear that trusting anyone will lead to his downfall. And the 8's self-preservation lie could be, as long as I take care of myself and get what I need, I don't have to rely on anyone. For example, King Henry VIII in The Tudors is possessive and forceful and demands absolute loyalty and control in love and power, unwilling to surrender anything once he's claimed it. And type number 9, the Peacemaker. Their core lie is my presence creates conflict. Their core fear is being overwhelmed by conflict and tension, and their core desire is to create inner and outer peace. In 9s, the social instinct is the countertype, and their lie could be, if I'm useful to the group, I'll be safe and accepted. For example, Frodo Baggins in The Lord of the Rings puts the Fellowship's mission above his own well-being, often losing himself in the needs of the collective. The 9's sexual lie could be, I only matter when I merge completely with someone else. For example, Bella Swan in Twilight dissolves her sense of identity into her relationship with Edward, struggling to separate her desires from his. And the 9's self-preservation lie could be, as long as I'm comfortable, nothing else really matters. For example, Queen Elizabeth II in The Crown quietly clings to routine and the comforts of duty, avoiding emotional upheaval by keeping everything in its place. By integrating the Enneagram's instinctual variants into your character development process, you gain access to a dynamic range of emotional and thematic possibilities, even within the same type. Far from boxing your characters into rigid molds, the Enneagram offers a flexible and deeply human lens through which to explore their varied struggles, motivations, and transformations. So whether you're writing a single story or an entire series, the richness of these internal variations ensures that each character arc can remain fresh, specific, and emotionally resonant. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. If you want to elevate your character development, my book Outlining Your Novel is the perfect guide to help you structure your plot and deepen your characters. It offers a plethora of tools for character development, including personality systems like the Enneagram. You can gain valuable insights into your character's motivations and growth, helping you create multidimensional figures that resonate with your readers. And you can pair these frameworks with the outlining process in the companion workbook to craft compelling characters who feel real and dynamic. So start outlining your way to stronger, unforgettable characters today. And I hope you'll stop by the site and tell me your opinions. Have you ever used the Enneagram for character development in your writing? And what insights has it given you into your character's motivations and growth? And that brings us to the end of this episode of Helping Writers Become Authors. I hope you'll stop by the site for a full transcript of this episode and to join in the conversation in the comments. Tune in for next week's episode, where we'll continue to explore all things writing and storytelling. If you'd like to support the podcast, it always means a ton when you take a moment to leave a quick rating or review on Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, or Spotify. To stay updated on all the latest content I create for you, the best way is to join my mailing list at helpingwritersbecomeauthors.com/mailing list. You'll also immediately gain access to lots of free resources, including my books, Crafting Unforgettable Characters and 5 Secrets of Story Structure. For real-time connection with me, more writing advice, and behind-the-scenes glimpses, follow me on Instagram at authorkmwyland. A heartfelt thank you to each one of you for your support and enthusiasm, and especially those of you who support my work on patreon.com/kmwyland. You help make my site, this podcast, and so many other resources available to writers everywhere. So until next week, keep writing, keep dreaming, and most importantly, keep being true to your stories. Thank you for being part of Helping Writers Become Authors.